Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liaoming. Homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa and to Master Dubdan Tarji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice this evening, the Medicine King Buddha, the Medicine Buddha. Sumu, Tanchen Gatso, Tutan Siddhi, Tutan Kama, all Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma masters, Dharma lecturers, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma teaching assistants, temple and center directors, and all disciples present here and over the internet. How do you do?
I stayed Shanghai. Hola amigo, que quiero mucho. Sugoi, ichiba, kimochi, jumi, yapi, benibri, konbanwa.
Before the Dharma teaching, let me tell a joke that I have told before. In the classroom, there were two experts. They listened to the class with eyes closed. And one expert, when the teacher was teaching, the first one, if he opens his eyes, then the teacher knows that he's saying something wrong. So he's incredible. And the second one was Xiaoming. As soon as he opens his eyes, then the guru, the teacher would know that it's the end of the class. I'm the third expert. Every time it's time to dedicate the merit, I would know which deity we are practicing. I will not forget. As soon as I open my eyes, I would know. Today it's Medicine King, Medicine Buddha, because the mantra is very long. So the eyes will close, and nodding head, and sometimes shaking head, and sometimes almost falling off the chair. No matter what, as soon as I open my eyes, I would know which deity. I can practice in the dreams too. Except that I almost fall off the chair. I cannot ask for a blanket and a pillow on the Dharma throne. But at least it should have a like a protection, a cushion. Who knows, maybe one day I would fall off on from this Dharma throne, and then if I hit my head and have a concussion, then the temple has to be responsible. Now we will do Q&A. This is a very interesting question. From Taiwan, 莲花梦话. It's like talking in the dreams. It's a joke, a homophone. Wholeheartedly homage to Grandmaster. Recently, I've noticed that many people are obsessed with binge-watching dramas, like a TV series. I would like to ask Grandmaster, is there something behind this? Possibly some force controlling this? And people who are addicted to watching dramas, what will happen to them and what will be reborn? What will they be reborn in their next life? That's the question. Like long ago, there were many parents of younger children who sue Nintendo in Japan because they were so addicted to the games, to playing games, very obsessed that they don't do homework, and some become isolations. That's also a kind of addiction, like binge watching too. Frankly speaking, human life is so boring. If you can have something that let you let you obsess with, and that would be something delightful too. But if it's too much, that you don't sleep at night, and you have no social life, and you don't study, then that's too much. So in Buddha Dharma, there is a saying, as I remember, if you use a lute, musical instrument, as an example, if the strings are too tight, then it will break when you play it. But if it's too loose, there's no beautiful sound. So it has to be just right. That would be the best. Just right. But people sometimes cannot control themselves. If you're too obsessed, that's no good. But if you're not interested at all, then you have no fun in life. If you're too rational, then there's no joy in life. But if you're too addicted, then you would be fallen. But if you're too strict and rational, then you have no fun in life. So that's why, as a Buddhist, we have to do it just right. Then at such a time, the sound produced would be the most marvelous, most beautiful, like for guitar and pipa and yangqin, all the lute instrument with strings, the strings instrument. The Japanese like to do the 3-string lute, And for China, 5 strings. There are many kinds of lute instruments in China, some with many strings. But the most beautiful sound that's produced is always just right. If it's too loose, there will not be any sound, but if it's too tight, then it's easy to break. So in our Buddhist studies, the most important thing is that if you're too serious in your studies, 24 hours a day, you're immersed in it, then it would be easy for you to fall into the demonic path. That's too tight. If you're too loose, you just live your days in, days out, and without diligence, that's no good either. So how do you adjust or balance it? Cannot be too tight and cannot be too loose. So just right is the best. So everyone has to learn to master that. So studying Buddhism or studying anything or watching the dramas has to be just right. If you're too captivated, then you should withdraw a little bit. But if you avoid it totally, that's no good either. So you're asking me what would be the next life of those people who are binge watching dramas? You should ask them. I don't watch series, drama series. I don't watch the phones either. If I were ever to be checked on the immigration or custom, my phone is empty. I have a cell phone. It was given and bought by Hanifa. Other than for making phone calls, the phone calls that I need to make, then I would, but not those that I don't. So battery charging can be used, one charge can be used for 1 year. So the scammers will never be able to get me. There are many scammers phone calls, but I never turn on my phone, so who would get me? That's not right either, I think. I live like an ancient man, like the old times. But I think it's also very good living like this. What would they do in their next lives? How would I know? Everyone is different, right? So people who are binge watching dramas, Yanhua Menghua asked this. What would they be or what would they do? You should ask them. Because I don't watch those, so I don't know what will happen in the next life. Would they play a role in the dramas? Perhaps not. But if you're too obsessed with it, then you would be you would fall too deep into it, then you would be affected too much by the dramas. In the past, I loved watching movies. You all know, when I was little, I had no money. I would go to the movie theater. I was still very small. And people would buy tickets, and I would tell them, "Uncle, can you bring me in?" Okay. And some people were kind. Okay, I'll bring you in. And then the person who checked the tickets would see, oh, it's the same boy again. It's you again. I have several tricks. Before the movie starts playing, the doors were open. I would hide inside the theater, and they're clearing the hall, and then close the doors. And started to let the people in. Then I would come out from the bathroom. Another trick is when the movie ends, they all are exiting, and I would enter. And sometimes, so the tickets would be torn and thrown to the garbage, and then I would pick some and then connect them and then use the ticket again. And because the person who checked sometimes didn't see carefully. And the interesting one is that night, during the typhoon night, and I had money, and I bought a ticket. I was sitting at the balcony, the only one, and nobody else, even underneath and in the whole theater. And the movie was about to start, and someone walked to me. And I thought, oh, at least there's company. 2 people. And then he got to me and said, "I'm the owner of this movie theater." I am the owner of this movie theater, and this movie will be played just for you alone. So it would be such a waste. But you've bought a ticket, and it's the night of a typhoon. It was a very strong windstorm. And so the boss told me, "I'll return your money, and then I give you 2 free tickets." Will you agree? If we don't show the movie tonight? Of course I agree, because I was the only one. So I love watching movies so much back then. So, by loving to watch movies, what would I do in the next life? I don't necessarily play a role in the movies, but nowadays I don't watch movies much at all. So a person can change. There is a period of watching movies, there's a period of binge watching dramas. If If you can control and adjust, that's good. But if you're too addicted and obsessed, that's no good. So, but your question is, what would they do in the next life? I don't know. And the Bodhisattvas will tell you too, because it's different for different people. There are many causes and effects, not just the effect of binge watching. There are the karmas too. So what will happen in the future depends on your karma. Everything is created or caused by the karma. So no matter what kind of illness you have the karma of this illness. And through Medicine Buddha, Medicine King Bodhisattva, Medicine Lord Bodhisattva, Sunlight Radiance Bodhisattva, Moonlight Radiance Bodhisattva, the 8 great Bodhisattvas and 12 medicine generals would bestow health upon all of us. And karmic illnesses disappear. That would be best. Because the future and what would happen in the next life, it depends on your karma. So your causes and conditions and karmic retributions, because our karmic retributions are not just due to the binge watching, and there would be retribution for binge watching, but that's only one of the many, many karmas that are even heavier. So the karma of binge watching should be pretty light, not the severe one. But killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and being intoxicated would generate greater or graver, stronger, heavier karma. Like killing and becoming a robber, sexual misconduct, speaking improperly, and drinking alcohol would create a heavier karma. The teacher asked Xiaoming, what would you like to be when you grow up? And Xiaoming said, I want to become a high officer and to get a few $1 trillion or $1 billion, and then to have a mistress traveling around the world. And the teacher pretended not to hear it and asked the next classmate, Ting Ting, what would you like to be when you grow up? And she said, I want to become Xiaoming's mistress. And the teacher said, you too, get out of here. Girls nowadays are very smart. They marry the sons of rich families. Then they don't have to go through hardships. If you marry someone poor, they have to work so hard together, and they would be old before they have money. But if you marry someone rich or from a rich family, immediately they become a rich housewife. So the young women nowadays are very smart. They just want to marry young men from rich family. She doesn't have to suffer too much, or she doesn't have to work so hard. Then she can enjoy her life right away. If you marry someone poor, you have to work so hard for half your life. And finally, they succeed, but before they can enjoy life, it's too old. They are too old. But life is all about fate and destiny. Xiaoming, convenience store. At the family mart was paying. This is play of words of Chinese. Yeah, this is Chinese homophone. So you become membership of the family mart, but it sounded like your whole family gets pneumonia. That's a misunderstanding. I don't understand this joke. Lao Wang went to the local local store to buy cigarettes. But getting home, he got also some biscuits. How come you have these biscuits? Hui Huan gave it to me. Why did she give you biscuits? Lao said, this is also play of word. This is Taiwanese play of words. I don't understand. Oh, it's getting old. I'm out of touch with the. Not going to work is only one problem. You have no money. But if you go to work, your body and mental health are problematic. So you have more problems. Okay, now let's discuss Surangama Sutra. The Surangama Sutra is very lengthy. I read it a little bit and I had a headache. Why it's written like that? Why it's spoken like that? It's really too wordy. Was Sakyamuni Buddha really that wordy? Sakyamuni Buddha asked Ananda, where are your mind and eyes? And Ananda replied to the Buddha, World Honored One, which means the Guru revered by the world. The 10 classes of beings in all the worlds. There are 10 classes of beings in the Saha world. So, the 10 classes of mundane beings. So what are the 10 classes of mundane beings? We know 4 of them that are most important. We know one is those born from eggs, like chicken, that will hatch from eggs. So those born through eggs. And those born from wombs, like humans. We were born as a human through the womb. Next is through water. Those were born from the water. So from moisture, like the mosquitoes who have the eggs in the water, so they hatch in water or from moisture, and one is born from transformations. Like viruses were all transformed or mutated. So we know of these 4 births. Those are most important. And then another 6 classes. Born from thoughts, from no thoughts, from no non-thoughts, and etc., etc. A total of 10 types or 10 classes. There's no need to remember those. You will not be born that way anyway, or you will not give birth like that. So in the Saha world, there are 10 kinds of things. Whether you want them born or not, they're born. So born from wanting to be born or not wanting to be born. So basically there are 10 classes of mundane beings. Commonly believe that their conscious mind resides within their body. So the consciousness is in the body. So conscious mind, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, root of mind, and alaya, which is the 8th consciousness. So some people talk about 6 consciousnesses, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. They're all inside the body, according to Ananda. Looking at you, Tathagata, I see your blue lotus eyes on your face. So blue lotus eyes. Sakyamuni Buddha eyes are very clear and deep, like the great ocean, like lotus blossoms. On the Buddha's face. You're looking at Sakyamuni Buddha, your eyes are on your face. Now, as I observe these floating roots of the 4 dust, the 4 sense organs and 4 sense objects, what the eye see are forms or visual objects. What the nose smells is fragrance or odor or smell. And what the tongue tastes eyes, nose, mouth, and touch is what the body touching your body. There's a feeling. Like when you shake hands, when you hug each other, when you kiss, that's even more feelings. If you just touch slightly, like the Westerners have this kiss each other on the cheeks or hug each other, that's also touch. Or when tongue is intermingling with tongue, that would give even stronger sensation. That's called touch. The sense of touch. So what the eye see is called forms. What the nose smells is called smells of fragrance. And what the tongue tastes is called taste. And what the body touches is called touch. And that's called floating roots of the four dust. They are clearly on my face. So eyes, nose, tongue, and skin. So these four sense organs are on my face. Similarly, my conscious mind is also in my body, Ananda said. So Ananda said, and Sakyamuni Buddha said to Ananda, you are now seated in the Tathagata's teaching hall, looking out at the Jeta Grove. Where are they? You are now seated in the Tathagata's teaching hall, looking out at the Jeta Grove. Where are they? Like now, we are seated inside the Seattle temple, and you look at the trees outside. Are they there? The Buddha asked Ananda, you are seated in the Tathagata's teaching hall, and you look at the trees of the Jeta Grove. Where are they? Ananda replied, but honored one, inside the Anathapindika, there wasn't just one teaching hall. Like our Seattle temple, there's only one. But in the Anathapindika, he built 72 teaching halls. 72. So 72 Dharma thrones and teaching halls, places to give Dharma teachings. So I don't know whether there was another or other people other than Sakyamuni Buddha. Maybe many of his disciples each had a teaching hall. a total of 72 teaching halls that were built by the Anathapindika for Sakyamuni Buddha. The garden of Anathapindika, of course, were also given by Anathapindika. And the grove belonged to the Prince Jeta. And there were many trees in it. So now you're seated in the teaching hall. Do you see the trees outside? Sakyamuni Buddha asked. In this great multi-storied pavilion and the quiet and peaceful teaching hall is in the garden of Anathapindika. Now the Jeta Grove is actually outside the hall. Of course I know. And then the Buddha asked Ananda, Ananda, what do you see first while inside the hall? Ananda replied, Sakyamuni Buddha, while inside the hall, I first see the Tathagata, you. Sakyamuni Buddha. Then I see all the assembly. Only when I look outside, I see the grove and garden. And Sakyamuni Buddha asked again, Ananda, Venerable, when you look at the grove and garden, how is it that you are able to see them? And Ananda replied, Sakyamuni Buddha, this great teaching hall has open doors and windows. So the teaching hall has windows. And looking out the windows, it's very wide and open. So while inside the hall, I can also see the grove, replied Ananda. So the Buddha extended his golden arm to bless Ananda. So at this time, Sakyamuni Buddha, amidst the assembly, extended his golden arm. I remember at the Gridakurta. Why is it called Gridakurta? Because there was a kind of birds there. That's why it's called the Vulture Peak. When these birds crowed, it's very screeching. So Ananda had his own cave. I had visited, when I went to India, I visited the caves of Ananda and Sariputra. And Sariputra's cave was very close to the cave of Pindola. Which was the long white brow venerable whom we enshrine at the front door of the cafeteria. So I visited the caves of Ananda and Sariputra. So one cave per person, and they eat, sleep, and cultivate in the caves. So Sakyamuni Buddha gave teachings at the teaching hall of Gridakuta. So one night Ananda heard the vultures screeching very badly, so he felt horror and fear in his heart. So Sakyamuni Buddha knew of that, and he extended his arm very long into the cave of Ananda and touched the head of Ananda and said, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." So when Ananda heard the crow of vultures, he felt fear in his heart. So Sakyamuni Buddha's golden arms can extend very long. So one time when I was in Taiwan, at that time I was infected with cellulitis in one of my legs. It was very severe. If it wasn't taken care of, it was to be amputated. Because if the virus moved upward, then you would lose your life. So I got injections of antibiotics, the strongest kind, Tigersid, in order to eliminate the swell in the legs. And before the injection, I was lying on my sick bed, and in the sky there was the Venerable Elder Xu Yun. And he extended his golden arm from the cloud in the sky all the way down to give you blessings and touch my head so that my cellulitis leg can be cured. That was also a very strange, interesting thing. That was during my retreat? No. That was not during the retreat. I was giving Dharma teachings already then. So even with cellulitis, I still went to the Taiwan Lichang Temple, giving Dharma teaching and giving blessings seated, because one of the legs could not move, could not bend. It was swollen, really big. Very difficult to cure. So if we could not take care of the swell and it moves upward, the person can die. So the Venerable Elder Xu Yun extended his golden arm and touched my head, giving blessing, and luckily I recovered. So Sakyamuni Buddha too extended the golden arm. So enter into samadhi. We often talk about this, enter samadhi. After the mantra chanting, they would say, perform 9-cycle Buddha breathing and enter samadhi. And this is the samadhi. But today, I entered into sleep. So I was nodding my head, my body swaying, and when I opened my eyes, I knew it's merit dedication time. And this is the samadhi known as the Great Buddha Crown, Surangama King. So Surangama King is the name of the samadhi. Is the Buddha, is the samadhi of the Buddha, the supreme and very marvelous, dignified samadhi of the Buddha. And it's endowed with all kinds of merits and endowed with all kinds of conducts. So all the Tathagatas, when entering this samadhi, is very wonderful and marvelous, magnificent. So in this great assembly, so now listen attentively, and Ananda bowed in reverence and humbly received the compassionate instruction that the Buddha was about to speak on the Great Buddha Crown, Surangama King. So Ananda paid homage to receive the compassionate teaching of Sakyamuni Buddha. So this was missing from before. Now we will go back to talk about where your eyes and mind are. It will continue to talk about that. What time is it now?
10点。我告诉大家哈，前面刚刚讲的这一段书金色。
This passage that we just talked about, the golden arm blessing Ananda and telling Ananda and the great assembly, there is a samadhi called the Great Buddha Crown Surangama King that's endowed with myriad conduct. This excerpt is not here. This is not placed right. Actually, it was missing. It was added. So this is one of the mistakes of the sutra. This excerpt should have been before or after, but not in the middle of this. That's a different excerpt that's added in here. So that's why many people who research Surangama Sutra found this is a problem. This is problematic. Because this is not related. It's out of context. Because it was talking about the eyes and the mind, and all of a sudden there's this peace. That's why it's said to be wrong, wrongly placed. Some great master mentioned it. They were discussing where the eyes are, where the mind is. Oh, you will have a big headache reading that part. It's not concise, it's not direct, it's not clear. Asking so many questions, what you see, what you see, what you see, doesn't matter. But that's a kind of logic. It's also good. It's a very tough deduction. So, where's your mind? Where's your heart? It's very difficult to answer. Is that the organ heart? No, that's the organ, the physical organ. But the heart, mind that we're talking about should be the consciousness of Yogacara. It's very difficult to say. Where is it really? So Sakyamuni Buddha wanted to ask Ananda, where is your mind or heart? Where are your eyes? Because the eyes and the heart mind, so generally speaking, when the eye see, the mind would perceive. So that's why the eyes and the mind are in union. But is it really in union? That's the question. So he kept asking this, and everybody's thinking it over and discussing it. Where are the eyes? Where is the heart mind? Very lengthy. I don't know that Sakyamuni Buddha is so verbose. Had I known, I wouldn't discuss this sutra. Let me share a joke. I received a text message about scam and asking me to wire some money quickly into that account number. So, because I had nothing to do anyway, so I just replied, I have wired 300,000. And I got another text in reply. I've gone to the bank 3 times and haven't received your money, so you're a liar. So who's the liar? Are there many scamming texts, scammers texts? Lots of them. Not in the past, but nowadays there's so many tricksters and scammers. Where do they come from? They originated from Taiwan. Taiwan created those. The internet, but it's true. It started out in Taiwan. When they caught many of the scammers, they were Taiwanese, so it showed that Taiwanese are very quick-witted, very smart. But scammers are really immoral. So a man and a woman on the bed, and the man saw a photo of another man that's very handsome on the headboard and asked the woman, was that your ex-boyfriend? No. If you don't tell me, I would be angry. Oh, that's me in the past. Oh my God. Oh my God. So man can become woman, woman can become man, this world nowadays. So Sakyamuni Buddha, did not know about that. And when I was born, I also never knew that in the world man can become woman, woman can become man. It had never occurred to me. So everything is ever changing. I don't know how to decipher the karma of this. So binge watching dramas like this. There's a woman who loves to watch the would like to binge watch the dramas about the inner palaces. So she's very suspicious. So before she eats the bun, she would use the silver needle to poke on the bun, and it became black. So like, who is trying to poison me? And the sailor slapped her and said, "Come on, this is the bun filled with black sesame seeds." So if you watch too much of those movies about the harems or the inner palaces, then you would become like that. Oh, money, bring me home.